Well, hello there, family. You're listening to Fired Up Freedom with Steve Ryan. Fired Up Freedom. All right. Do you ever have moments where you feel stress, anxiety, or it's hard to sleep? Then meditation may be the perfect thing to help you. Come and join our meditation channel where there's 24 hours a day on-demand meditation music. Go to steveryan.com/meditation. That's steveryan.com/meditation. It's time to have freedom from the noise. This one is going to be pretty short. Really, I came up with three things: value, fear, and trusting yourself. See, look at this. You can see the notes. I literally wrote three sentences here. So number one, and welcome, John Camara. And in about 5 minutes, I'm going to be welcoming anyone who wants to come up to the stage. Oh, Nancy. Hey, Abar. I'm going to bring y'all up right now, but I'm going to finish giving these 3 points. And anybody who have anything to say on the TikTok side, just put it in the comments. So this is Hello Freedom. Today we're talking about how do you help others without hurting yourself. It's 150 people in here right now on this live. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear any comments you have, or if any of you are able to go live, I might bring you to invite you to go live at the end here. But 3 things I wrote down about how do you help others without hurting yourself? This is a huge deal. Value, knowing VFT, V as in value, F as in fear, T as in trusting yourself. All right. So V as in value, knowing your value. You know, you're important. You're worthy. You know, you have to know your value. This is super, super important because a lot of times, last week we talked about self-doubt and imposter syndrome. You know, like when people don't know their value, or when people are wanting others they want to depend on others to bring them up. You see what I'm saying? You have to kind of know your value. And F is for facing your fear. You see what I mean? Facing your fear is like not being afraid to say no, not being afraid that if you set a boundary with someone, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, they stop being your friend. Well, if you set a boundary with someone and they stop being your friend just because of that, then they weren't your friend to begin with. And then T, trusting yourself, trusting that process, trusting that voice inside. Those are my 3 points real quick. Now I'm ready to hear from some people. All right. Welcome up, Craig and John. How y'all doing?
Wow, I really, honestly, am impressed, Steve, my friend. I thought that this was going to be at least, 15 minutes, 5 minutes for each one. I'm impressed. You kept that real short.
Told you.
No, yeah, that's good. So this is, one of those really hard to know topics because it really depends on who you are and how you, just internalize the hurting or the helping. And it just really depends because some people are willing to give like everything up, and then other people like have reasons and whatnot that they don't. Yes, buddy, I know. Sorry, my son's helping with toast. But well, the one thing that I would say that I value the most is that you have to set those boundaries going into specific relationships, and figuring out what you're willing to give, but then you have to stop yourself and not go past whatever that point would be. But that, I guess, is my trying to be quick share. Thanks, Steve. Always a pleasure, sir.
Oh, that makes sense. While you were talking, Colby in the chat on TikTok says, I depend on others to bring me up. How can I stop this? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not a psychologist. Definitely or a therapist or anything like that. But the thing that comes to mind from my personal conversation is that you really need to find out who you are and build that confidence in yourself, because then your successes, you'll feel good about them. I'm not sure that that's where you're at, but just being able and confident and knowing what you're doing is good, and so that you can celebrate those wins without needing other people to bring you up.
Absolutely. You got a lot of hearts and likes on that one over here. So that was an answer they liked. So 670 likes as you were talking.
I actually paid for all of those.
Oh, did
sorry, Steve. But yeah.
That's funny. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, I just came in here because I saw you. That's all. I just thought I'd say hi. Like, I mean, I have not seen you for so long, so hi.
Hi, hope all is well. Yeah, I've been doing these. This is a different type of space, and I've been live streaming on TikTok, Instagram, other platforms, also on Clubhouse at the same time. And
Okay.
yeah, and these topics
So
is
this is all over the place right now. This one.
absolutely. So a lot of people can hear you right now.
Oh gosh. Oh my.
And so, and
You're doing great, John. No pressure.
I'll just grind my teeth over here. Hopefully, I can think of something witty to say. Gosh.
You'll be fine.
That's actually one of your most redeeming qualities, John. So go right ahead, sir. Great to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, and a lot of these topics, they haven't been, we've probably been doing this, about a month now, I would say about 4 weeks. This is the Hello Freedom series, and it's different topics. Some of the topics is more personal like this. Last week, we did a lot of marketing, branding topics. I really enjoy this because, nothing against share your spaces or share your stuff kind of thing. But I've done those for so long. I just wanted to kind of switch up to something else. And I knew it was going to be like starting over as far as on Twitter, but I didn't care. Because there's a whole family of sea of people elsewhere who love these topics. And I figure I'll just bring it everywhere, so. and it's going to be evergreen too. So, because it's going to be on a podcast and also replay for videos as well. So, yeah, I'm loving it.
Well, that's awesome to hear that you've been so active. I haven't seen you. I guess I haven't been in Twitter Spaces that much either recently, but I haven't seen you around here. But it sounds like you've been everywhere else. So, yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. Thank you. And welcome up, Sophia. Welcome.
Oh, hello, Steve. Oh, hi, everyone. Yeah, this is an interesting topic. How do you hurt others without hurting yourself? And to get again, this is, I shouldn't say again because I haven't said anything yet, but this is all to do with touching on looking after yourself, understanding that, although we might play different roles in our life, although, say helping others. So when you say helping others, it might be someone maybe outside your close connection, for example, like non-family. But the thing is, we play all different types of roles, so it's applicable to different sorts of scenarios. For example, like helping family members, for example, helping friends, helping people outside, helping people at work. And the reason why I say boundaries, which I think I did mention in my first sentence, is because it's all to do with making clear, what's important to you. This is where I have my cutoff. And recently I was asked by a UK press about a question to do with, which did come up to do with boundaries. It was to do with this topic to do with quiet quitting. Quiet quitting is where people decide in their job they're just going to stay within the working hours and not go over and overextend themselves. Because they say that research says, or statistics, although I don't have statistics, so I can't say it myself, that it could have like a detrimental effect on your health and you're saying without hurting yourself, which is the question. So I think it's aware of, what Craig mentioned, the first speaker, about having a self-awareness about yourself. And I think that's important, because the reason why I say that is because you've got different types of, characters. So what I mean by that, you might get someone who's like the people pleaser, or someone who likes to, for example, give a lot. I'm not saying for other people who help others that they're not, who don't do it all the time, they're not givers. I'm not saying that, or just to clarify. But sometimes you might have, show strongly, some sort of characteristic, for example, like being a nurturer, for example, and you can't help, helping others, and sometimes, might be to the detriment of yourself. So I think it's about realizing, number one, that you're important too. Mm-hmm. And I have, written or talked a lot about this concept, which I coined, which is about, putting your well-being first. So what that means, it's not like, because I think in society, people sometimes have negative connotation for the word selfish, because they say if you think about yourself, put yourself first before others, that could be negative. So it's not looking at it in a negative way, but it's a bit like that famous, that description whereby you're on an airplane and they say, please make sure you put your face mask on first before helping the other one. But it's important that you always have to, prioritize your well-being, not overextend yourself. And there's nothing wrong wanting to give or help people at all, but it's all about having a balance. And then also the other person or other people who come to you, say something, if it's someone who's regularly, like you have to have a relationship with them, that they also respect you too as well. Because otherwise they keep repeating, the same habits. For example, there might be a taker, or be a person might come to you and download all the time and don't actually ask you, so hi, how are you actually, Sophia? For example, just to start this conversation.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Like, I think I just, I don't know if it came out yet or if I scheduled it, but I just did a TikTok where, in a video, well, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, where I was actually on the plane and the flight attendant had just got finished with the announcement. So I held up my phone. I didn't care what the people who was around me was thinking. I said, yeah, they just got finished talking about put on your air mask, your mask first before. It's funny you use that analogy. That's so funny. And the other thing, it's okay to be selfish. Like, selfish is not a bad thing. Like, I think like some people use it as a weapon, like, oh, they're being so selfish. But is being selfish bad if you're taking care of yourself first? If you're preserving yourself first, if you're making sure your foundation is good first before attempting to help others, you know what I mean?
So yeah, you're right, Steve. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, so that's amazing.
Given a bad name, and sometimes I think in society, when someone uses selfish, and all they do it to try to shame you or make you feel bad, because this actually happened to me, and I haven't felt bad because I realised that in a day I had to look after my own, well-being, in terms of the scenario.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, because a lot of times I found that when I just gave and gave and gave and gave and gave, to the point of like even neglecting myself, it was not only was it burnout, but those are the times that I felt abandoned the most. And I had to look back and say, you know what? It's not everybody else's fault. It's my fault. Oh, I see you, Craig. Just one point. It's my fault because I chose to do that. I chose to, to give in the way that I gave. I didn't set those boundaries. And a lot of times we condition people. If we're so giving, and we don't condition people, I don't want to say condition people. It's not that we need to train people, but if we don't set our own precedents of we're setting our boundaries, then we're asking for an invitation to be ran over. We're asking for it. Yeah. Run me over. Come on.
No, it's true. I don't understand what you're saying, Steve, because if someone's used to doing something with you, they get into that habit. So then you have to kind of like get them into habit. No, I'm not going to do this. These are my hours. And it's like when I had that article which someone asked me to help, like this member of press, when they said about quite quitting, because it's, you know, it's been quite topical. I've seen it, you know, come out different months, you know, for a number of months, even on LinkedIn too as well. I actually turned around the question to the journalist, and I said that, you know, really, it's not to do with quite quitting. I think the question should be asked is, how did you get to this point where you feel like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to stay, you know, and, you know, I'm just going to do the bare minimum this job. The fact is, you have to question, why is it that you happen to feel that you've been overextending yourself or giving yourself, you know, too much at all? And that's why, you know, I was turning around that phrase, why is it called quiet quitting? When it really is like an example of setting a boundary.
Right.
That's how I came back to that person, because it's like it raised a really good point, because it's almost like going to the doctor and, say, for example, if you, I don't know, tear the muscle or something like that, and they go, okay, here's this painkiller or anti-inflammatory, or if you did some movement, that's not really getting to the root of the problem, isn't it? It's just masking the issue. So you need to get to the root to figure out, okay, what sort of movement was I doing?
Absolutely.
You know, caused it. Yeah, so that's another way. So I think that's my approach to things.
All right. And Craig, I see you had your hand up.
No, you're totally fine. And I just wanted to talk off of the points that Sophia made, is that number one, selfish isn't a bad thing. And I feel that that's kind of being alienated in the world we live in today. And it's not mean selfish. It's just a self-preservation selfish, if you will, is that you can't just give, like, yep, take all my blood. No, I don't need any of it. Yes, you do need some of it, okay? And you can't just give everything away. And especially coming from, like, my actual career profession originally is teaching, those people literally give to the point where it's too much, and that mental health is that problem. The other thing, I just had a kind of a question for Sophia with the great topics and totally on point with the room, but what are some boundaries that are ways, or what are some boundaries that you need to have set in particular to make sure that you're not allowing others to hurt you? Or, and I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. You know, thanks for asking the question. So, I could talk about different sorts of scenarios. So, number one, let's talk about work, and then number two, I can make it a bit more personal. So, I brought up the quiet quitting because sometimes I get people ask me lots of questions about work stress, dealing with cliques and bullying. So, with work, for example, so say, for example, if you're a consultant, so I've worked a lot as a consultant maybe, rather than employee, although it could be applicable. It's like, for example, to do with like working time and working hours. So, for example, you can have in your email signature handle, because a lot of people do work from home now because of, you know, COVID in the UK. Some people have gone back to the office, but it's still applicable to everyone. It's saying, for example, like, you know, between X hours and this hours, these are my working standard hours. So then that could bring home to people that when they send something, I don't know, maybe after 6 o'clock, then there's no need for you to automatically respond, because sometimes people could get into the habit of thinking, okay, they don't know where their cutoff is, and there we go, after 6 o'clock, pick up an email. Where they could be sitting at home, for example, remotely, and then get into the habit of asking questions. So then that person or other people think, okay, I could send it to Sue, although, you know, the working time, you know, finishes at 5:30 because they're going to respond. So it could be about statements like that. It could also, I say, in terms of, you know, people not taking advantage of you. It could be work and personal. It's also to do with behaviors and what's acceptable for you too as well. So I could give you an example. One time, I was working, this is years ago, I was working on a construction project where, okay, yes, there were mainly men. I'm not being sexist or anything like that, but in a type of environment, you know, it was kind of like very active. Sometimes people would, you know, say loud jokes. And then there was a person who I was working with who sometimes had issues with controlling their anger. I mean, in terms of, I wouldn't say anger, I say to do with handling their stress. And then one time, I asked them a question, which they asked me about some weeks later, response saying, maybe I think you should hire some more people. And then they turned around and started, shouting and swearing. And what I did is I took a pause and I said, excuse me, don't talk to me like that. And then they never did that, to me again, because they knew that I set that level. That's my boundary. I don't set that type of, behavior. I'm helping out. I'm a person working on this project. Whereas if that same person, they got very angry and they punched a wall with someone else, a different scenario. But it's all about what I'm trying to say there is about, setting, boundaries to people. So let me move on to a more personal one then, because, we're talking about everyday sort of scenarios, because work might be different to outside. So this could be hard sometimes, but communication is important. So say something if it's a family member or a friend, then you just have that conversation. Say that, hello, by the way, I know that, say something someone likes to download. I know that you got, challenges. I support you to a certain extent, but, but sometimes I need to. I'm trying to figure out a dialogue. I think what you need to make clear in terms of communication is use whatever example which company comes up, and then have that kind of like honest, and open communication with them. Say that you don't accept, that sort of, that behaviour. Or you don't have to start off with a negative. I wouldn't say that, to going after them. So I don't appreciate. I think it's more to do with, how you come across in terms of approach. So you could say, for example, like I prefer, or would it be nice, when we do chat to each other, maybe we say hello, you say hello to me, see how I'm, or let's say just put it as we as a group, say that it'd be nice for us to talk, vice versa. Let's see how we're going. I know it might be a really bad example, but I think part of how we set standards or boundaries or talk about dialogue to the scenarios is using language which, also is comfortable with you or your tone, being a bit intuitive. But yeah, I think communication is really important. And talking about communication, I think, and this is something which has come up last week when I was talking about friendship, is it's good to actually talk to a person, not just send a text. Because I think in this day of age, in terms of using technology, sometimes things could get lost in text. But I think when we do have those sort of conversations, let's talk to them on the phone, have an actual conversation with people. So there's no, kind of like misunderstanding.
Cool.
I hope that answers your question. I know it's a bit long because I start about work and personal, but I think work, because a lot of people, sometimes find it really difficult in that environment.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Really, really, really appreciate that. Gonna hold the space in case anyone else want to come up and contribute before we wrap up. Fired Up Freedom will be right back after these messages. Do you ever look for certain services or products and it's just hard to find and you want to know if someone else has used that before? Well, visit my resources page, steveryan.com/resources, steveryan.com/resources. All right. Well, I guess we're done. So I'm going to transition and have a little fun, play a little music for a little bit and stuff, and just relax. And this is fun. Thank y'all for joining. Oh, we got one person want to come. It happens every time. Every time I'm about, because I move on to the next task. So like. AFQ.
Man, how you doing?
All right, how about yourself?
Interesting. I just want to catch you in the tail end. I didn't want to interject before listening to everyone. My very quick opinion before you move on. I don't think why being selfish gets such bad press. One. Secondly, I don't know why people are so embarrassed of saying I'm selfish. In my personal opinion, one has to be selfish. If you're not selfish, you're a fool. Not because you are being evil or harmful to somebody. Selfish has been given bad press because it says, I'm selfish, I'm going to hurt somebody. No, I'm selfish and I'm going to take care of myself. And that also includes I'm going to take care of my environment. And my environment includes the people around me. So if I'm sitting on a plane and there's a person sitting next to me, it would be in line with my selfishness to take care of that person as well, but not at the expense of myself.
Right.
And I cannot be selfless at the, I can't destroy myself for somebody else, and I should not destroy somebody else for myself. And I think that's really what selfishness is about. Because if I collect all the wealth and I live in a situation where everyone's poor, I can't enjoy my wealth. If I have health, but my whole family and my friends are unhealthy, what use that health? So whatever graces and virtues and benefits I have, I would be perfectly selfish in giving some of it away to create an environment where I can enjoy what I've gathered from my selfishness. So in my opinion, and I very openly admit, I'm an extremely selfish person. I really don't care what happens to anybody else as long as it's not happening in my space. And if it's happening in my space, then I'm very, very sensitive because you're destroying my space. So I'm very shamelessly and blatantly selfish, proud of it. And in my selfishness, I'm constantly trying to improve the situation or the environment wherever I am, not for anybody else, but really for myself. So if I walk into a room and there's just something wrong with that room, and I'm using a very blanket word, wrong. That wrong could mean anything. And I will tweak it to enjoy the room more myself. I really don't care about anybody else. I'm sorry if that sounds unreasonable, but I think everyone is unreasonable in that way. But just because people point a finger at you, don't admit it. We're all selfish in one way or the other. We're just too scared to admit it. If we start admitting, hey, listen, I'm selfish, you're selfish, we're all selfish. In this room, if we're all selfish, we'll create a fantastic room. So while we're here, we'll enjoy the room. If one selfless person comes here and screws up the whole environment, what's the use? So let's all be selfish, create a fantastic world, create a fantastic Twitter space, create a fantastic situation so we all can enjoy our selfishness. So be proud of your selfishness. That's all, man.
I love it. If only you could see my facial expressions as you were talking. I'm like high-fiving. That's I love the way you put that, because it's like maybe they need to come up with different words. Like I personally feel, and I don't know the words for this, that it's a way to be selfish but help people at the same time. And to do it with balance, to where you preserve yourself, you take care of yourself, you have your foundation. And now if you are helping others, if it's a mutual win-win, I love win-win situations where it's like we're helping each other in some way. Just like coming here, taking the time to come here, Monday through Friday and doing this. Okay, that's helping people, but I'm doing it for myself as well. So rather 0 people show up or rather 1,000 people show up, I still would have gone forward with my topic, recorded it. I was going to record these topics anyway. I was going to release them as podcasts and videos anyway. Why not do it with an audience? Why not interact with an audience? Whoever shows up, great. We have a good time. If nobody shows up, I still go forward. See, that's what makes me not care about room numbers and live numbers and all this other stuff. Because,
I have a question. I'm sorry for interjecting, my apologies. I have a question. When you said, let's do it with an audience, what's your real motive? And be completely honest. What's your real motive?
I just explained that to you, and I'm always completely honest. There's no halfway honest and this, again, okay.
It's a very selfish reason.
Okay. So anyway, I literally, what you just asked, I literally just answered before you asked, which is, I do this, number one, because I want to get this information out into the world. I'm already doing podcasts and other stuff anyway, but I love doing it with an audience because number one, it gets to help people live. Number two, other people come up, we get to interact. Who wants to just talk to themselves all the time? I love the interacting with people. I love we exchange ideas. Maybe I may bring something that they didn't think about, or they may think of something that I didn't think about. It turns it into a beautiful energy exchange. That's my motivation. And that's been happening every single time. So for anyone who's been here, they've enjoyed it. It's been great. Like we all leave with this sense of like, wow, let's go and conquer our day. We're all getting it. Well, I can't say every single person here, but a lot of them are based on the feedback and people messaging me like, wow, this really helped me. Thank you. I love that feeling.
Now that's the ace. That's the ace I was waiting for. Fantastic. You do it because you love spreading happiness. You love because you're helping people and gives you happiness. And the process, if you create other happy people to share your happiness with, fantastic. That's exactly my point. So when you, I mean, selfish is just needlessly thought of as a bad word or a negative word. It's a beautiful word. We should all be selfish and spread that selfishness and for no other reason. I don't even care about a win-win. I just want to win, and I can't win unless everyone around me is winning. What's the point of being a winner in a city or a society where everyone's a loser? So for that, you will, for your own selfish reasons, you will give back tremendously to the best of your capability. It's just that we should not be shamed for doing it for a very, very personal, selfish reason. And that's my perspective. I know we're both saying exactly the same thing. I'm just trying to reinforce what you're saying with what I'm saying and really we're in sync. So yeah, good.
Absolutely. And I feel like most important of all, if people are just transparent, just be who they are. I don't care if someone is a horrible person or a good person. Just be upfront. Just be who you are. So I'd rather know where I stand with someone than someone who's coming around fake and, oh yeah, we're going to, when I did this project earlier, I'm actually going to release a video about it. I might just do it live. But, this whole, NFTs for Freedom project, when it first came about, I was wanting all these people to get these payouts and, I was going to bring all these artists and stuff together. And the project worked in terms of generating that. But most of the people there, I would say 85%, and I know that's a high number, were pretending and being fake. And 15%, I would say, was actually real, was actually genuine. And if I had to go back in time, I don't like to say I regret anything. That's not what I do. But if I had to repeat it, I would be more selfish with it. I would have scaled it down from the beginning. I would have set more boundaries to filter out the pretenders. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, a lot of those people were really, instead of them saying, you know what, we're just here for a payout. Like, oh yeah, we believe in this. We're going to help you and blah, 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 blah. And all this lip service and, hundreds of people in the room and this is all great. And then the minute that markets go down and everything go down and, and they realize that this is going to take work. This is different. Psh, bye. So what I learned from that experience is do your agenda first. Instead of focusing on what everybody else's agenda is or their reason is, it makes it irrelevant if you're focusing on doing whatever you're doing for what your purpose is first. And it's okay to embrace that. It got to the point that on the day of the project release was the same day my brother was murdered. And, instead of there were people who were supportive and was there, but there were still people who were like, well, what's going on with the project? Literally, I just lost my brother. Really? Really? You can't give me 2 days to grieve, 3 days to grieve? That really changed my perspective. So I don't mind helping people, but what shifted in me is that I'm going to make sure I'm helping myself first and going to my goals first and then help people in the process along the way who wants to help themselves. If somebody don't want to help themselves, then I'm no good for them. And I've gotten to the point of I care about people, but I don't care to the point of micromanaging their process. I give the information and whatever they decide to do with it, that's on them. Whoever wants to help, great, come along. Whoever don't, okay, it's their choice. So go ahead, FQ.
I'm sorry about your brother, man. I mean, and I know it's hard when people think that you have to move on and get on quickly because they need you. But unfortunately, that's really the reality of things. I was in the IT business all my life, and I had clients all over the world. And my personal issues, and when I was a much smaller vendor with personal connections to my clients, they would be sympathetic if I had a personal issue. But then as things got bigger, they were like, we don't give a damn if you just lost a leg because we have 10,000 clients sitting waiting for an answer and they don't care. They don't know you. They have no idea who Mr. Faisal Qureshi sitting in some part of Asia is. All they care about is they have to trade the stock and the stock is moving and they're losing money. So they don't give a shit who you are. So either get off your one half leg or we need another supplier. Right. So that was a serious reality check for me that nobody cares what's happening in my life. Mm-hmm. I need to take care of myself and push forward because I've made a commitment in way of my business, my family, or whatever commitments you've made. I've made a commit to provide a service, and that service is really affecting hundreds of thousands of people. And they between me and them, they're like 50 layers of people. They have no idea who I am. So likewise, we're sitting here having this conversation using a Twitter space. There are thousands of people who are making this happen. We don't care if one person loses his mother right now. We want this Twitter space to technically function and work. We don't care what happens with Twitter employees. We don't care if, his name, the Tesla dude, God, I'm really getting old. He's buying or not buying. We don't care. What we care about is we want this space to work. And if I can't hear Alexander talk, oh man, this Twitter space is shit, man. Twitter's hard. I'm going to Clubhouse. And you'll start losing, Twitter will start losing audience to some other technology. So individuals' issues don't matter. So what I'm trying to say over and over again is we are all selfish around the world. Everyone is selfish. We're just too scared to bloody admit it. And I thank you. 100 points to you for saying, even if you're the worst asshole, just say you're an asshole and fine. I'm happy with it. Don't be two-faced. And lastly, you said you have to do what you're doing and not worry about what other people think or what they're doing. You said it beautifully. I'll just add to that. If you start doing something really strange today, in today's world, we are really connected. This is really the connected world. I can guarantee you will find somebody who does exactly the same thing, who wants to do the same thing, who will share your interest, who will share your absolutely weird quirk. And we'll be connecting with 5 billion people, 4 billion people. It's impossible that somebody somewhere is not just as weird as me. I just have to present my weirdness out there, and lo and behold, you will find somebody who shares this weirdness. And there you go. You'll have your own peers. You'll have your own group. So stop worrying about who wants to walk with you. Just walk. And in today's technological world, I guarantee there'll be hundreds of people just looking for people just like you, and they will walk with you.
1,000%. And one add on to, how you said, if all these people are depending on you and you have a personal day, et cetera, et cetera. This is why, if someone has to check out for their mental health, the hell with whatever's going on, it'll, the company can take care of itself. Whatever needs to happen will take care of itself. I understand commitments, but at the same time, if someone has to check out to get themselves together for a moment, it is what it is. So, it's like this ever evolving balance, go ahead, FQ.
Exactly. I'm sorry. Yes, it works both ways. They don't give a shit about me. I don't give a shit about them. So they expect me to get on my leg and a half, and I expect them to pay me my dollar. Right. I don't give a damn what's happening in life. Pay me my dollar now, or I'll cut you off. So leverage whichever advantage we have, and we cash in on that. And hey, we're all selfish. Hallelujah. Why not? Love it, man.
Well, this has been a wonderful. See, this is why Friday I talked about passive income. This is why I hammer that kind of stuff so much, because for me, having that passive, I knew before I was 18 years old, when I was a teenager in high school and stuff, I worked different jobs. I wasn't supposed to have that many jobs, but I delivered pizza. I worked at Chick-fil-A. I worked at, I had all these different things. And I said to myself, you know what? I I don't know what it was in my head, but I was like, you know what? I can't see myself doing this, as an adult. Because if you want to take a bathroom break, you have to tell someone you're going to the bathroom. If you want time off, you have to tell someone you want time off. If you need their approval, you need their permission. No, there is no way. I have mad respect for anybody who can deal with the 9 to 5 and, whether you have a family or whatever you need it for, because if I had to work a 9 to 5, I would never have a job. I would always get fired. I can tell you straight up. Because with my mouth, that's why when you were like being honest is the least of the problem with me is sometimes I have to hold myself back because I can get real, I'm going to say brutally honest, but not like on purpose. Like in that, I like to always let people know where I stand. I don't believe in sugarcoating and, if I don't like you, I don't like you. If we need to do a deal together, we'll do a deal together, but I'm not going to sit there and pretend I'm your friend, So we do what we do and we move on, So, and that's the thing with the job. If I want to go to the bathroom, I'm going to the bathroom. If I want to take time off, I'm taking time. So I knew I had to financially free myself first, because other than that, I mean, if I had to go down that path, there's no way I would have survived. I would have never had a job. I would have constantly been fired over and over and over. So, so I had no choice but to be an entrepreneur. I had no choice. This is the only way I could survive. So, but anyway, but thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation. Fired Up Freedom will be right back after these messages. Do you ever have moments where you feel stress, anxiety, or it's hard to sleep? Then meditation may be the perfect thing to help you. Come and join our meditation channel where there's 24 hours a day on-demand meditation music. Go to steveryan.com/meditation. That's steveryan.com/meditation. It's time to have freedom from the noise. What's going on? What's going on, TikTokers? Yeah, being an entrepreneur, we have to take a lot of risks, right? Yeah, you do. But the thing is, here's the thing, not to get on my soapbox about it. What you just said is true. Yes, you do have to take a lot of risks, but here's food for thought. And this is just my opinion. If you're depending on someone else for your financial well-being, to me, that's risky. You see what I'm saying? So let's say you're working a job or whatever, you're depending on someone else for your finances. If you don't do what they say, or if you upset them, guess what they can do? You're fired. And now your finances are gone. Now it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Unemployment, find another job, whatever. So to me, that's more risky. I don't agree with a lot of the ways that society, does us. Like, for example, in school, why are we not learning about stocks and finance and credit cards and things in high school? Wealthy people do that for their kids. Why are we not learning that kind of things? The only thing I heard in school was go to college, get a job. That's it. Go to college, get a job. Oh, go to college, get a job. Okay, and then what? If I ever have kids, I'm going to tell them, I want them to discover their passion. I want to see what are they, let them experiment with different things they enjoy and then find things they're good at and passionate about. And then let's build them making income around their passion. So to me, I know people see entrepreneurship as risky, but I see it as secure. Yes, it's hard to get it going, but you know why? Because people have to get to know you. That's why I talk so much about marketing and branding and things like that, because once people get to know you, think about this. Whether you love Walmart or not, most people on this planet have heard of Walmart. They have. Whether you love McDonald's or not, most people have heard of McDonald's. So their brand is there. So as we're doing this stuff and people are getting to know your brand, like that makes it more secure because that's your reputation. People would trust you. And that creates security in my opinion. When you're bringing value to a group of people and they trust you and you're building that brand as well, that's security, you know? Now the other portion of that is money. I see money as energy. The worst thing I like is I don't like for cash. I don't like to keep a lot of cash in my accounts. I like my money always working for me in something, turning something, doing something, you know? So those are, hey, to you too, those are things that will help bring that security. You know, that's just my opinion about it. But that was a good question. Thank you so much for asking that. Running from myself at times, I can't describe the words I try.